Life can throw crazy curveballs your way and you never know what tomorrow will bring, but one thing you can do is try to be prepared. Pretty and Prepared is a podcast hosted by me, Pamela Valdez, all about being the best version of yourself while preparing for the life you want and deserve. With this podcast, we are targeting millennials, content creators, students, creative individuals, and more looking to gain insight on all things social media, living your best life, self-confidence, love, building your career from the ground up, landing internships, secrets to working with brands, and so much more. Tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. for a brand new episode. Hello guys, welcome back to Pretty and Prepared podcast. Today we're going to be talking all about having a 6-month reset as well as leveling up and just being the best version of yourself. As I am filming this, it is currently the second week of July, which means that we have 6 months left of 2023, which is absolutely insane. And if you feel like these past 6 months haven't really been the best, or you feel like you could have done something a little bit better, or maybe there's just an area of your life that is very specific that you want to improve on, then I'm really hoping that this podcast episode can help you and can help you become the person that you want. And obviously it's going to be taking a lot of work, and someone's not just going to knock on your door and tell you, okay, this is what we're going to do. You really have to work for the life that you want and the lifestyle and just everything that you want to achieve. And you're definitely going to receive it, I believe, in every single person that is listening to this episode. So let's get into it. So first thing is first, I really want you to ask yourself these 3 questions before you decide what route you're going to take with your life. So the first thing I recommend you ask yourself is, what do you really want out of your life? Like, where do you want your energy to go? Because I am a huge energy person. Like, in high school, I was someone who I really relied on other people for my happiness, specifically friends, and I always wanted to obviously like be around a bunch of people, and that was really where my energy was going, was always just into other people. And it wasn't until COVID / like 2020, when we were literally forced to be home for many, many months, it wasn't until then that I realized, wow, wait, I actually have to put time into myself, and I actually want to invest into becoming a better person. And my sister and I were just talking about this the other day in the car, because she told me that she has all these goals, and she always like finishes off her thoughts when we talk about this by saying, but I don't know, or kind of like ending off her thought of, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know. And there's always that sort of hesitation. And I told her that night to go to her room, and when she's alone before she goes to bed, write down your real goals, like goals that you have literally in the bottom of your heart that you want so bad. And I told her that it doesn't matter if she doesn't believe in them or not, but write them down and just define, like, why do you want this and how can you try to make this happen? The second question that I think we all should ask ourselves is, what is stopping the current version of you from being the person that you envision in your head? And some ways that you can help yourself figure out like who is the person you want to become is by making a Pinterest board, putting it on private, and anything you see that defines you or the life that you want, put it on this vision board and keep it just for you. And when you look at this board, identify the difference between the life that you want and the lifestyle that is in front of you. Compare what you are actually in to what you want to be, and what can you do to fill that space? Like, why is there a gap between the life you want and what you are living right now? Some other questions to ask yourself is, what is keeping you back from being the person that you want to be or getting the life that you want? And this can be anything from, maybe you want to gain more muscle and you want to have a little bit less fat, so you want to, go on a diet. I definitely relate to that. I have been going to spin classes for almost a year now because I really wanted to tone my body, and I didn't like how loose some of my like arm fat was, and my legs are so much more toned and just my arms now. So that was something that I really wanted to focus on. But this can be anything else, obviously nothing to do with like your appearance. This can even be like friendships or finances. So look at these things and again, figure out what is that gap that is stopping you from being the person that you want or certain things that you want in your life. Another question is, what are the best attributes and parts of you? What do you think is the strongest thing about you? And the reason why I say ask yourself this is because I feel like write down the answer to what is the best part of you. What do you love the most about yourself? And how can you use these strong attributes to turn it into something powerful? And I'll give you guys an example of myself. I really love social media. I love content creation. I love writing. And these are all things that I was able to put together into one thing. And essentially that is me being a content creator. I loved writing, so I started a blog. I loved content creation, so I started TikTok. And I love video editing, so I started YouTube. And these are things, like I said, that I love about myself. I love that I'm very creative in that way. And I was able to turn it into something powerful. And now, I'm able to work with my dream brands and I'm able to accomplish all of these really awesome things. Another example is, like I said, I really love storytelling and creating content. I've always loved art and drawing and painting and reading, and just the way that I was able to turn all these things that I loved as a kid into essentially a career right now, like where I'm able to work with brands and do ads or take a product or an idea and turn it into a whole production and do that all through video form is something that I'm just so proud of, because again, it was a strong attribute that I was able to turn into a stream of income. And not every strong attribute that you have has to be turned into a sort of income. That is not what I'm saying. That was just like my example. But again, if you are looking to take more control and do something creative with your attribute, then I think that's something that can be really helpful. Also, look at what negative traits do you have about yourself that you want to unlearn? This is another question that I think you should ask yourself. The reason why I say this is because maybe you have a lot of negative self-talk in your head, or maybe you wake up late, you go to sleep late, you waste a lot of time, you don't have structure or goals in your day-to-day life, you're not doing anything to exercise your mind and your body, and you want to take these negative traits and turn them around and do something a lot better with that. I definitely recommend just writing all of these things down about yourself. How can you turn this around? How can you turn, waking up late into something positive? Maybe you go to sleep earlier the night before, or you set yourself up for a workout class the next day. Just anything that you can do to turn that around from something negative into something good. The last question that I would recommend that you ask yourself is, what positive traits do you want to start to learn? So maybe there is something that you've always wanted to learn, like for example, waking up early and going on walks, or having more positive self-care and putting yourself first. This can even be setting goals for the next day and taking out your outfit the night before, having a budget, not spending money on random things, or even trying out a new hobby like a workout class. Just write down, what are these positive goals that you want to start enhancing and adding into your life? So now that you have asked yourself all these questions and hopefully you have answered all of them, now we're going to move into how can you actually put your answers into effect and make it happen. So my favorite tip is change your environment and change where you are. And this can even be just having a more clean and tidy space. And the reason why I say this is because I am someone who I like to separate my personal life from my work. And I don't really like doing work in my room because I want my room to really just be for sleeping and for relaxing and just knowing that it is a peace of mind. I have a desk in my room, and I've heard so many people say before that having a desk or just anything work related in your room is really going to mess up your mind and make you think like, okay, when you get to your bedroom, you're going to work and you're not actually going to relax, and it's going to be harder for you to relax because you're going to think, okay, your room has a desk and it has XYZ. It's like, that is something that I have been able to change. And every morning now, instead of doing work at my desk, I actually take all of my work stuff and I bring it up to my living room. So I will sit there. I'll either sit on the couch or sometimes I'll sit in the dining room and I will do my work from there. And also when I'm in New York and I do my internship in person, we usually work at a co-working space. And I love that as well because I'm able to be around other people that are also working remote, and it just makes you so much more motivated. Next is embrace your setbacks. The reason why I say this is because I feel like so many people look at negative things that happen to ourselves and think this is why this didn't happen, or a lot of us just really take negative things that happen and don't look at it in a positive way. And obviously in that moment when something really bad happens to you, you don't want to look at it in a positive way, but after a few hours you can look back and reflect, and that is something that I have definitely learned a lot more over the past few years. I used to be one of the most negative people ever. I literally hated so many things about myself and just people around me, and that was obviously high school me, and now I'm in college and I've grown so much more. But I didn't know how to embrace setbacks. I didn't know how to embrace that bad things happening just meant that something even better was going to be coming. Like, I don't like to wallow in self-hate. I don't like to just sit down and be upset or somber or just think, why did this have to happen to me? I hate thinking like that because it's honestly so unfair, because it just means that something so much better is going to come. So learn to embrace the bad things that are happening, obviously, like, if they're not like super life changing and like life altering, and just embrace these setbacks, especially if they're minor. Next is actually start to put effort into your appearance. And the reason why I say this is because when you actually pick out your outfits the night before, or you're putting a lot more effort into the way you look, you are going to feel so much better. And again, I'm going to bring up another conversation that I had with my sister, because she told me today that she slicked her hair back and she actually like picked out her outfit that she was going to wear to go out with her friend. And she said that just having her hair done and like slick back made her feel so put together. And I know that that sounds so funny, but it is so true. Like, when my hair is really frizzy and knotty and ratty and I'm like, I need to wash it, or if I'm wearing something that I'm like, I don't feel confident in this, I don't really feel that good about myself, as like probably a lot of people wouldn't. But when you actually put effort into your appearance, and even if it's putting on like a little bit of blush in the morning, or, you know, putting on a pair of shoes even if you're going to be home, I think just putting in that extra amount of effort is always going to be helpful. You're going to feel better and you're actually going to want to get some work done. Next is try to find an outsource for inspiration and motivation. And by this, I mean maybe read some books on something that you're struggling with. And this can even be like, maybe you want to be a little bit more productive, so you read a book, or you read just something about productivity, or maybe you want to just get into reading in general and you want to start reading maybe like romances or something, or like a history book, literally whatever it is. Start to outsource things that you need inspiration and motivation for. And this can also just be acknowledging yourself in different categories, even listening to podcasts about self-development. I love doing this because you can really learn a lot from other people, and I've learned so many amazing quotes and just things that have gotten me to where I am today, literally from podcasts and YouTube channels, and just really inspiring and motivating people online. Next is act like the person that you want to be in the future. Like, literally act like them right now. And the reason why I say that is because when you start acting like this person, you are obviously and eventually going to just become them as soon as you start embodying them right now. And that is something that I am still learning to do, because I really sometimes feel myself falling back to old traits and things that like I used to do when I'm feeling super lazy and unproductive. And we all have those moments where we're obviously feeling really lazy and we don't want to do work. But I am telling you guys, when you really start to embody this dream person, or this person that you want to be in your future, it is going to help so much. Next is better the relationship that you have with yourself. And this can even be starting to work out, or going to a workout class, going to the gym, going on daily walks, and listening to music or a podcast. And like I mentioned earlier in this episode, I really struggled with just learning to be by myself and on my own. And when I really learned to embrace that there is actually a lot of fun in being alone, and there's nothing really wrong with that, I became such a happier person. And sometimes I even like being alone more than I like being with other people, just because it's fun. You get to be on your own time, you get to be on your own thing, do your own schedule. So again, just figure out ways that you can better the relationship with yourself. Next is take your hobbies seriously, especially if you are very passionate about them. So for example, maybe you really love social media, or maybe you want to be a YouTuber, or maybe you have a business idea. I really think that when you take your hobbies that you're so passionate about and you really take them seriously, you can get so far in life, because we all know those YouTubers that started when they were like 13 or 14 and they now are like full-time YouTubers and they're basically living their dream life. I'm not saying obviously you have to be a YouTuber, you have to do social media, but if there's a hobby that you really love, like for example, you love writing, figure out how can you write a book, how can you get your work published, how can you get it in the hands of other people, and this can be any hobby. The last tip that I will mention for this portion is the most important, which is give yourself grace and reward yourself. You should not constantly be in girl boss mode and grind mode, because you are just eventually going to exhaust yourself and reach burnout. So I'm telling you, give yourself a reward for, reaching a certain amount of things. Like, I know something I like to do, which this might be silly, but if I get up and I have an early day and I actually get a few things done, I will make myself a coffee at a certain time, but only if I am getting the amount of work done that I need. So for example, if I wake up at 8 and by 10:30 I get all of my stuff done, or I get more than what I need to do done, I'll go into the kitchen and make a coffee, or sometimes I'll even walk over to Dunkin' Donuts and grab a coffee as well. So literally anything that you can do to reward yourself is something that I really recommend. To end off today's episode, I want to just quickly recap everything that we talked about. So to just give you guys some reminders of when you're going through this new growth period in your life, allow yourself to be uncomfortable and take control of what you want, because you are in the driver's seat of your own life. You need to be clear about what you want, and don't stop for any detours. Don't stop for any extra negativity. Your life is your own, and you deserve everything that you desire and everything that you want. So stop hitting pause and stop hitting snooze on what you want, because trust me, the life that you want and just everything that you dream about is so much closer than you think. Thank you guys so much for listening to Pretty and Prepared, and make sure to tune in every Monday for new episodes at 8 a.m. and my DMs are open for any podcast episode ideas you guys have, or if you guys just want to talk, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.